Alright. Coming to you live from Music City, USA, aka Nashville, Tennessee. This is the ALLAnal podcast with Sebastian Starr. I'm your host, Sebastian Starr, and today we are going to be discussing in pretty great lengths the 2024 film adaptation of the Broadway play Wicked. Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock for the last, 3 years, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande star in the film adaptation for the Broadway play Wicked. Now, this film, I went into it knowing absolutely nothing about the film or the play or the musical or the anything. But apparently, the Broadway play is based off of a prequel backstory of The Wizard of Oz that stars the Wicked Witch of the West, basically telling the story of how she became the Wicked Witch of the West. It was written by Gregory Maguire in 1995, adapted for Broadway, and then from the Broadway production adapted into a musical, and then from the musical production adapted into this film. Now, a little fun fact that I often like to kind of attach to is how Mr. Maguire came up with the name for the main character. Because if you watch The Wizard of Oz, and you know the Wicked Witch of the West, but she's only referred to as the Wicked Witch of the West. You know, Glinda, who is the Good Witch of the North. And then they also talk about, very, very briefly in The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the East. So, but they only refer to them as the Wicked Witch of, and then their direction of choice, which also kind of plays into the idea that there is a potential Good Witch of the South. But we would never know that because they never mention anything about a witch from the South or whatever. But you only know them as the Wicked Witches of the East and the West. So Gregory Maguire was like, okay, well, I'm writing this book about this character, a nameless character, a very infamous yet nameless character. I need a name for this nameless character. I need her name to be unique and, different and something that is kind of unusually befitting because she herself is an unusual character. So what he did was he took the initials of the original author of the Wicked. He took the initials of the original author of The Wizard of Oz, L. Frank Baum, and just took those initials, LFB, and he kind of played around with them until a name started to form. And from that, he came up with the name Elphaba for the Wicked Witch of the West, which I think is very, I like that. I like that he was able to do that and make that work, and it kind of worked itself out somehow. So the name Elphaba comes from the initials of the original author of The Wizard of Oz, and it's a very interesting play on sounds and syllables and things like that. But I want to just dive right into it. Let's just dive right into it, because again, I went into, first of all, as a pagan, obviously I'm interested in any story about witches, but particularly one that asks the question, what makes one wicked? Is someone born wicked, or does wickedness find them and curse themselves? You know what I mean? Like, how do you become wicked? And I think when I think about that question, and I think about the movie, and I think about what happens, it's like, damn, you know what I mean? It's this weird realization of that idea of wicked, right? So let's just dive right into it. Right off the bat, we got Ariana Grande, who comes in as Glinda the Good, right? And she's beautiful, stunning, flawless, fabulous. Everything you expect Ariana Grande to be, she is that and so much more as Glinda. She couldn't have been. And I know it's kind of biased, right? Because a lot of people were like, Ariana Grande playing Glinda for Wicked? That's not going to work. That's not going to mesh. That's not going to happen. But I did a lot of, just video watching when they were doing their little press tours and stuff for this film. And she could not have been more honored. She could not have been more appreciative. It's like getting cast for your dream role, the role of a lifetime. You're not going to fuck that up, regardless of what anyone says or how anyone feels or what anyone thinks. You are going to do a spectacular job. And that is exactly what she did. I didn't know what to expect when I found out that she was playing it, because I'd never seen the play. So I had no expectation of who Glinda even was. But I don't think anybody else could have done it better, except for maybe another dough-faced, sweet-spoken, soft, petite woman in Hollywood, which is, hundreds of people. But I think Ariana did it so well because she wanted it the most. She wanted it more than anybody else on the planet. So she did what she had to do to solidify that role. And I think she just did it phenomenally well. So just a little tidbit. She comes into Munchkin Land. They're ringing the bells and they're celebrating the Wicked Witch of the West is dead. And she comes in on her little bubble. She came down in her bubble and she announces to the people of Munchkin Land that the Wicked Witch of the West is in fact dead. She is no more. There's also a couple of little pivots here. The first scene is actually the remains of the Wicked Witch, the water on the floor, her hat, the smoke kind of rising from the water on the floor, and monkeys bursting through the windows and breaking the glass. And then you see a horse that looks like there's somebody riding on it, leaving the Wicked Witch's castle. And then you see Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion kind of skipping down the yellow brick road with the broom to bring to the wizard. And then that's when the Munchkins come in on their announcement and say that the Wicked Witch is dead. So then Glinda comes in and she's singing the song, No One Mourns the Wicked. And she's looking up at this giant burnable statue that the Munchkins have made of the Wicked Witch of the West. It's like made out of hay and straw and things like that. And she's looking up at it with the most devastating look of self-betrayal. Like she doesn't feel like she's been betrayed, but that she's the betrayer. Like, I'm looking up at this woman, this statue of a woman who, I used to consider my closest, dearest friend. And I'm burning her. I'm burning her for all of these people's enjoyment, and they're celebrating her death, and I just feel like I've betrayed my best friend. That's what her face is saying. That's not what she's saying. She's singing the song, No One Mourns the Wicked, but her face is saying, like, I'm mourning you, and it's like, again, this is just me going into the movie, just seeing the clips and the snippets and people talking about it. This is me taking that away and understanding that concept. So they have their little celebration or whatever, they do their little dance or whatever, and she's about to leave. And then somebody just comes out of the crowd. Is it true that you were once her friend? And she's like, who the fuck told you that? she was like, let me explain. I knew her once and it was a long time ago. And then the story begins, right? So we get a flashback of the university where not Elphaba, but her sister, I cannot remember her name, I'm so sorry, are attending. So the sister who's in a wheelchair, she will eventually become the Wicked Witch of the East. They get to the university, Glinda's there in all pink, like fucking Legally Blonde or some shit. And everybody else is in like their regular uniforms. And Elphaba walks up. Elphaba's not attending the school. She's just there to drop off her sister and make sure she gets in well. But everybody sees Elphaba and they're like, oh, you're green. And she was like, I am? And they were like, the fuck? And I was like, they were like, you're green? So she immediately, and I can relate to this kind of, sort of. But when you get teased enough about something when you're younger, you kind of build up a wall of defense mechanisms. So immediately she's like, no, I didn't eat grass when I was younger. Yes, I've always been green. No, I'm not sick. Like, she already has the answers to any stupid, ignorant person's question on standby, ready to go. So obviously she's been dealing with her entire life. So it kind of gets into, at some point, the backstory of how she became green. Her mother and father were in a happily conjoined marriage, but her mother steps out with some guy who drank this potion, this green vial of something. They did the deed, the mom got pregnant, and when the baby was born, the baby came out green as like a curse for stepping out on her husband. Whatever he drank made her skin turn green. And what blew me about this particular flashback scene of how she became green, when she starts crying, her father, well, not her father, but her mother's husband, rejects her immediately. Get that thing away from me. I don't want it anywhere near my family. He doesn't understand what's going on. So when Elphaba starts to cry, the entire room, everything that's not solidified or stationed in place hits the ceiling. Everything. And then the dad looks up and he sees the green vial and he knows immediately that's why she came out like this. That's what's wrong with her. It's your fault. But he doesn't hold it against his wife. He holds it against Elphaba. He blames Elphaba for the fact that she is who she is, or she is what she is. And I think that's kind of fucked up. But so then they show her, you know, throughout her childhood, taking care of her sister who's in a wheelchair. And it turns out her sister's in a wheelchair because when her mom got pregnant again, that it was like, we ain't having no more green babies. And he made her eat this kind of like silkweed plant. And it made her be born premature, which is why her legs don't work, but it also made her mother very sick and she passed away giving birth to her. So he's stuck with two kids, one who he can't stand and the other one he can't let go of. And it's just a lot of dysfunctional shit, right? So already we're setting up some trauma for Elphaba's character to be the villain. And even still, she's not even the villain. She's just misunderstood. She's literally just misunderstood. So we go into her childhood years, and she's teaching her. Nessa Rose, I think is what her name is. I'm pretty sure that's it. So Nessa Rose is the little sister's name who's in the wheelchair. I'm going to just use that for right now. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, though. I'm sorry, I should have wrote it down. So she's in the garden with her sister, and they're getting teased, and Elphaba gets angry, and she balls up her little fist, and then that makes some shit start to move, and it scares a lot of people, and they run away from her. Right there, she realized that she has some type of magic or power within herself, but is so afraid of other people's reaction to it that she compresses it. Again, we're building up, this is the perfect villain origin story, and she's not even the bad guy, in my opinion. So, back in the present, they're at the university, and Nessa Rose is being taken to, just to her dorm room. And Elphaba's like, well, I'm supposed to escort her. I'm supposed to make sure that she gets in okay. And Nessa's like, no, man, it's cool. I got it. And she was like, no, I'm supposed to do it. I'm supposed to make sure that you're okay. And she's like, girl, I'm okay. Get out of here. And she gets angry and she accidentally crashes out just for a split second. And that causes the floor of the university to crumble, the walls to crack, and some type of support beam structure to fall and crash, and things get broken and people get scared. And now it's at this point that the dean of the university, played by Michelle Yeoh from Incredibly Rich Asians, or Extremely Rich Asians, whatever that movie's called. She was also in Memoirs of a Geisha, which is how I know who she is. But she plays Madame Morble, who's the dean, head honcho, witch lady of this university. And she plays it off as if she had done that, just to kind of keep everybody cool, calm, collected, don't want no issues or anything like that. And she finds Elphaba, pulls her to the side, like, hey, come with me. Are you enrolled here? And Elphaba was like, no. And she was like, well, you should be. I'm going to talk to your father. We're going to get you enrolled immediately. And she was like, no, I'm not supposed to be here. My sister is just supposed to be here. She's like, no, you have a gift. You're getting enrolled here in the story. Who would like to volunteer to have Elphaba as their roommate? And Glenda, being the fucking ass kisser that she is, because Glenda's whole goal is to get into the witching program at this university. She wants to be a very powerful witch, just like Madame Morble is. So without realizing, she accidentally volunteers her room to house Elphaba. And she's like, okay, I guess I have no choice but to do what this lady says because I want to be a part of this program, whatever. So from that point, the frenemies feud boils between Elphaba and Glenda. They immediately butt heads. Glenda is this pristine priss of a princess type, overtly spoiled, completely oblivious, and just totally in her own world, in her own universe. Doesn't really care to have a roommate, doesn't really care to do anything other than what she wants to do. It's she's the type of person that has a Pinterest board or a life plan or a goals list, and she has her entire 15-year life written down on a big ass billboard, and everything has to happen exactly the way that it's mapped out on the board, or else it's just going to fall into pieces. That is Glenda. But she's also mixed with this sense of wanting to impress her peers. It's a lot of, I need the rest of the world to love me, which I feel is really ironic when you think about what she later becomes in the franchise. but she has this strong sense of wanting and needing to be accepted by other people, and she can't have it any other way. She has to have the exception of her peers, regardless of what that means. She does to whoever and to herself even. So they immediately butt heads. They're not having it with each other. They're fed up. They're over it. They're ready for this whole shebang to be over with. But again, Elphaba has caught the attention of the dean. The dean sees that there's a lot of power and magic inside of Elphaba, uncracked potential, if you will. And they, have these private tutoring sessions where she's trying to help her harness her energy and use it, in control. And she's only really using when she gets really emotional or upset. And Madame Morrible notices this. So at some point, there is a conflict of interest. There is a gentleman there who joins the student body. It is the big brother Anthony Bridgerton from Bridgerton. I don't remember what his real name is, but he plays this prince. And of course, Glinda goes goo goo gaga head over heels in love with him. He has a lot of interest in Elphaba though, just because she's different. He's one of those type of guys, right? In addition to him popping up, the school dance, which they're in college, so what the fuck? But the school dance is right around the corner. Of course, Glinda has to look top 10, her best, putting on her A1s and stacking it up right. And Elphaba was like, well, I'm not even going, so it doesn't even matter. But she was like, oh no, you can go. You can wear this hat. It was my grandmother's. And literally 5 minutes ago, she said that it was absolutely ugly and atrocious and she didn't even know what to do with it. She just kept it because it was her grandmother's hat. A fan theory is that Glinda secretly loves the hat because her grandmother made it, but because she's so obsessed with getting the approval of her peers, and her friends are in the room with her while she's getting ready, and they find it, and they're like, what is this? And you can even see it in this particular scene when she's getting ready to go to this party. She looks at the hat, she looks at her friend, she looks back at the hat, and goes, yeah, I know, it's so ugly, isn't it? Like, she really didn't want to say that, but she felt like she had to. And she was like, I'd give it away, but I don't hate anybody that much. Secretly, she's jealous of Elphaba, how Elphaba can get all of this attention by doing literally nothing. And then on top of that, she has this brilliant mindset. She's not delusional. So she gives it to Elphaba to show her true love and appreciation for her as just a person. That's a fan theory, but I think that's a pretty good one to have going on with it. So they get to the dance. Glinda is all over Prince Rufio, or whatever his name is. And Elphaba shows up. She's wearing the hat. She has a Wednesday Addams dress on. And the green is just popping. It is such a beautiful color. Like, I don't even like the color green like that, but it looks good on Cynthia Erivo. So maybe it's just her, but I just think it looks great. She gets there, everyone's laughing at her, and she's trying to dance, and she doesn't really know how to dance, and she's just kind of making up stuff, and everybody's just laughing and pointing and staring and oohing and eyeing. Now, while all of this was going on, Madame Morrible pops up at the dance, unexpected. She's looking for Elphaba, but she runs into Glinda. Glinda, being the ass kisser that she is, will not leave Madame Morrible alone. And she was like, I've been trying to talk to you about joining the witch program. And she was like, oh, I'm glad that I found you. I was speaking with Elphaba, and she said that she would only stay at the school and work with the university and work with me if I gave you access into the witching program. So here's a gift for you. And she gives her wand, the really big one with the little star at the top. And Glinda's like, Elfie told you that? She doesn't call her Elfie yet, but I'm just saying. She's like, Elfie told you that she would only stay if you accepted me in your program? And she was like, yeah, she's too good of a student to risk not having here. I would do anything to keep her in the university, even if that means recruiting you. Which should have told you, Glinda, that not only does Madame Morrible not have your best interest in mind, she doesn't even like you. She only accepted you into the program because someone else who she felt was better qualified and more worthy of the position said that they wouldn't do it unless she did it too. And she don't even like you either. So with that in mind, she kind of sits on it and she thinks and she ponders really, really hard. And she walks over where everybody's like pointing and laughing, and Elphaba's in the middle of the room dancing, and she just joins her. She hops right into the middle of the room, and for the first time, probably in her entire life, Glinda stops thinking about what other people are saying about her. She stops caring how other people look at her, how other people talk about her, what other people think about her, and she is joining forces with someone who is sacrificing their dignity at the moment and their happiness and their peace to help somebody who initially they didn't even like. Elphaba is helping Glinda fulfill her dreams, and she was under the impression that this girl don't even like me, I don't like her, I don't want nothing to do with her, she want nothing to do with me, but she's helping you. And she's the only one who really wanted to see me succeed. And how can I be anything less of a friend to somebody like that? And I just thought that was such a moving moment. And it was one of those blink if you miss it, because if you ain't really listening to the Madame Morble and Glinda conversation, you don't know why she just flipped the script. Because you would think initially, oh, Glinda felt sorry for Elphaba because everyone was laughing at her and teasing her. Everybody was laughing at her and teasing her when she first got there because she was green. That doesn't matter. That's not important. That ain't got nothing to do with it. She joined forces with her because she saw in that moment that she was the only person who cared about her success. And she made it a mission to see that she got her wishes come true. That's what she wanted to do, ironically. So the next scene is the popular scene, right? It's the song Popular. Glinda gives Elphaba her nickname Elfie, and she's like, I'm going to help you get what you want. You help me get what I want, so now I'm going to help you get what you want. It's only fair. We're friends now. You know, that's what friends do. They help each other get what they want. So she just tries to help her be a normal... She just tries to help her be a normal student at the school. And Elphaba is so awkward, not because she's green, but because she's super duper smart and everyone else is kind of clueless, you know. They come from like rich families where they were like spoon-fed gold and sprinkled silver on everything. Like she may come from a wealthy family, but remember her father disowned, well, not her father, but her mama's husband disowned her because she wasn't his child. So she's lived her entire life in turmoil and basically fending for herself. And another point to mention is that she was essentially raised by the animal staff that her father owned, particularly a really big bear who just, became a surrogate mother to her. So she's very in tune with nature, with animals, with, being outside and just everything other than people, pretty much. So, and that's important. That comes in later. So Glinda's like, let me just help you be normal, Of course it doesn't work because she's awkward as hell and nothing ever works for you when you're awkward as hell. But she tries and, at some point she kind of goes into a tangent of her own. Elphaba is, grew up hearing stories about the great and powerful Wizard of Oz and how he can grant wishes and make anything happen, make the impossible possible. And she, says in the song The Wizard and I, one of her biggest wishes is to go to the Emerald City where everything is green and he adores the color green and he makes green such a beautiful color. And, maybe he can even make me not green. He can make me look like everybody else so I can just be like everybody else. So everyone knows that that's what Elphaba is searching for. In one of her classes, she's like the star student. She's very good at what she does with her academics, in addition to being a very powerful witch and sorceress. The professor of one of these classes is a goat, a actual like Billy Goat, played by, I believe, Peter Dinklage. And he's talking about the injustice that the animal staff has had at the university for the past couple of decades, and how even some of his associates and acquaintances have basically gone back to their primal form. They're no longer able to speak words. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And they're getting rid of all the animal staff and they're locking them up in cages and no one knows what's going on and no one can explain it or no one can justify it. And it's all just being bad and terrible. Elphaba eavesdrops on this conversation he's having with more of his animal constituents. And he's like, she can probably help us. So one day in class, the security come in and they arrest the goat, teach him, and they replace him with another teacher who is basically showing them what the cages look like that they're putting the animals in. So not only was the goat teacher correct, but they're putting it on display. They're not even hiding it. And Elfie's like, hey man, you can't do that. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're scaring that lion. You're scaring that animal in there. It's a lion, by the way. You're scaring the animal. Like, why are you doing this to them? They didn't ask for any of this. They just want to be able to do what they want. They're smart. They're intelligent. They're capable. Like, why are you treating them this way? And they're like, sit down, sit down, sit down. You don't know what you're talking about. And then she gets angry. And we all know what happens when she gets angry. I'm not talking like the Hulk, but shit just get them moving. And on that particular day, and I love this callback. I loved this one. This was the one right here. On that particular day, she brings in a bouquet of poppy flowers. And when she starts to get angry, she releases the pollen from the poppy flowers, and everybody in the classroom passes out. Except for her and the prince dude. I don't know why he didn't pass out. But actually, I do think I know why. I'm going to get to that in a second. But everybody in the classroom passes out. Everybody. And they skedoodle. They get up out of there. And, you know, that's when they kind of have their one-on-one moment. You know, they take the lion. They release him into the wild. And theoretically, that will become later the cowardly lion. But theoretically. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. But I told you I haven't seen it, so I don't know. So they have their little moment. They go back to the school, and a couple of days go by, and Elphaba gets a letter that says she's been invited by the Wizard of Oz to visit Emerald City and meet him in person. So she is over the moon, ecstatic. Oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. I'm going to get my wish. And she packs up her stuff and she gets ready to go, and she takes Glinda with her. And she's like, come with me. And I love that she was like, because she didn't have to do that. But she was like, come with me. She was like, fuck it, let's do this. I'm coming. So they get on the train. They head to Emerald City. I'm almost done. I promise I'm almost done. I'm getting to the climax right here. This is the good part. This is the part that I wasn't expecting, actually, when I saw this movie. So they get to Emerald City. And it's very much like the Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy and the Lion and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow get to Emerald City. And they get like the star treatment. They go to the spa, they get their hair done, their nails done, they get buffed down, re-strawed, fed a good meal, they get a perm, you know what I mean? They just get the whole shebang-a-bang. So Glinda and Elphaba kind of have their equivalent of that. And then they finally go meet the wizard, and it's the big machine with the face and the fire and the smoke, and they're both freaking out like, oh my God, oh my God. And he comes from behind the curtain, and they see he's just a regular guy. And the wizard is played by Jeff Goldblum, by the way. So kudos to him. So he gets them in. He shows them like a model figure of the new Emerald City. He's trying to rebuild and make it bigger and better and brighter and flashier and all of this stuff. And he even shows them a little simulation where he's trying to change the colors of the roads that would lead people into the city, and they're going between like pink and purple and blue, and then Elphaba's like, what about gold? And then they put it on gold, and it just kind of sets so good, that yellow brick with that green backdrop, and it just looks so good. And he was like, I like that. And so they are discussing how the wizard became the wizard, and apparently there's this book, and this is a dope little book, by the way. It's a four-folding, like, half circle. So it opens up, it's like a half circle like that. And then it opens up that way, and then it opens up that way. So it's 4 columns in the one. I can't remember what it's called. I'm so sorry, I should have wrote this down. But I can't remember what it's called. But the legend has it that the wizard was able to read the ancient scrolls in this sacred book and use the magic from it to cast spells and do things that are unbeknownst to regular people. That's why he's so spectacular. That's why he's the great and powerful wizard. It's part of the fact that he, was not only named Oz after the city, or the city is named after him. They share the same name, but he has the capability of reading this text and making impossible things possible. That's why he's so infamous, right? So they get Glinda and Elphaba into the room where the book is. And Madame Morble, for some reason, is fucking there, which nobody questions why Madame Morble is there. She's just there. And they're like, Elphaba, why don't you go over there and look in the book? And they was like, and she was like, what? You want me to look? And they was like, yeah, go take a look. And up until this point, I'm still very optimistic, right? My jaw ain't hit the floor just yet. So she gets to the book, she touches it, and it opens up. boom, 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 boom. All 4 flaps open. And then she was like, what should I do? What am I supposed to do? And the wizard is like, you see that monkey over there? And she was like, yeah, I see the monkey over there. He was like, I can't tell you how many times I see that monkey. I'm sorry. He says, I can't tell you how many times I see that monkey just staring out the window at the birds, just wanting to, wandering and pondering on what that must be like to be as free as a bird and just fly away. And she's like, well, I want to do something nice for him. Maybe I could help him accomplish that. So she taps the book. It opens up to a page where there's like wings at the top and some words at the bottom. And without even trying, she's reading and translating the words at the bottom, causing the wings to flap at the top. And when she's done, the monkey get to freaking out. He get to screaming and screeching. And then his back starts to do that weird shit. And then, and then the wings pop out of his back. And she's looking at him. She was like, he looks frightened. I want to stop. How do I make it stop? And they were like, you can't make it stop. You already started it. They got to finish. And she was like, no, but this isn't what I wanted. I wanted to help him. I'm hurting him. He's hurt. And they was like, just let it happen. I'm just thinking, just let it happen. So then it dawns on me, and then it dawns on her as well. In the other room, there's a room full of monkeys, and every single one of these monkeys is having feathers and wings sprout out of their back. They are shrieking in severe pain. They are hurting. This was the moment where my jaw hit the floor, because I realized that Madame Morble and the wizard is tag teaming. He was never able to read out of this book, out of this sacred ancient book. He's a fraud, which we already knew he was a fraud, but I didn't know he was a fraud like this. This is another level of fraud. This is con man level fraud right here. So not only is he a fraud, but Madame Morble, who's a very powerful witch, isn't as powerful as Elphaba is. And she saw that, she peeped that from the beginning. So she trained Elphaba to be able to control her magic just enough to put it to the test. So when she gets to Emerald City and they give her that book, they want to see if they can put their money where their mouth is and make it, if she's the chosen one, basically. So not only is she the chosen one, but she can make shit happen. She can make the impossible possible. She gave monkeys bird wings. Like, these monkeys got feathers and wings popping out of their backs. And she did that. And when she realizes that they lied to her, that she was never able to read it and he can't do anything, then they start looking like, hey man, before you, I know this is fucked up. I know you're a little upset, but just hear me out. You can do whatever you want. You can have the life that you want. You can have all of your dreams come true. You can grant yourself any wish. All you gotta do is whatever we say. All you have to do is in addition to doing whatever you want, you do whatever we want. And at some point, I can't remember if it was this movie or another movie or something, but it's a line that stuck with me so heavy. And this was the moment when that line came to fruition. Again, I can't remember if it was this movie or if it was another movie or if I was watching a TV show or what. I don't know. I can't remember. But the line was, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, to get people to come together and unite as one, you have to give them a common enemy. And I translate that into, people can love all of the same things and still be divided, but if you can get people to hate the same thing, that will bring them more together than anything else. And it was in that moment where she denied their offer to just stay in Emerald City. And she could have ruled. Could you imagine? Could you fucking imagine a green-skinned woman, the most powerful and diabolical and just overbearing person on the planet, ruling and running and controlling a place called Emerald City? And you know what I mean? That connection that she's green and her city is green. Like, she could have did damage. She could have did so much damage. as the ruler of Emerald City. I almost wanted it to happen. I almost wanted her to sell her soul just a little bit, just so I could see that vision come together. Because that would have been the most spectacular thing on the planet. If she controlled Emerald City, oh my God, I can see it now. It's glorious, right? Like, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. But she has morals. She's a good person. You know, it's later revealed that they're the reason why all the animals are losing their voices and becoming more feral and being shunned and pushed out of society. They're trying to control everything and everyone. And since everyone is so damn ditzy and clueless and dim-witted and innocent and sheltered in and closed off, they don't see the bigger picture. They don't see that things are happening behind the scenes, which is ironic because when you think of how the wizard presents himself, it's always this big, majestic thing. The mask, the smoke, the fire, the deep voice, the thunder and lightning. But really, when you look behind that, it's just a regular guy. And he's not even pulling all the strings. Madame Marble is. So Elphaba comes to that conclusion. She grabs Glinda and is like, let's get out of here. We need to go right now. But Glinda is still, she's one of the fucking brainwashed people. She's like, hey, why don't you take a minute and just rethink this plan of yours? This isn't a bad look. I know it seems bad. I know it sounds bad. I know it looks bad, but it's really not as bad as you think. Like, just reconsider that this is what they want to do and just give it a try. Like, Glinda is really like, she's a sellout for Showskis, but Elphaba's like, I'm not leaving you here. We can talk about this later. Let's go. In the meantime, in between time, the wizard and Madame Marble are plotting to turn the entire city against her. They send the flying monkeys out and they say, you want the person who did this to you? She's big, she's green, she's mean, go get her. And they send them out and they go looking for her. And then she announces to the entire city, that green-skinned woman you saw wandering around in town today, she just tried to kill the wizard. She's wicked. You need to get her, and you need to kill her, and you need to get her out of here. And that word gets back to the school miraculously somehow. So Glinda and Elphaba are hiding off in the Emerald City Palace. And this is where we get to the climax of the movie. This big, beautiful, grand gesture of a song in Defying Gravity. Now, I'm going to pull up the lyrics of Defying Gravity very, very quickly, just to get a better, just so you as the listener can get a better understanding of where we're coming from with this song. So, with everything that we've already discussed, the traumatic childhood of Elphaba, her upbringing, her father, I'm not conceding her father, but that's not her dad, but disowning her and basically neglecting her entire childhood, her being made fun of, bullied, ridiculed, picked on, misunderstood. She has this great power with her that she doesn't know how to control, and she has this big, beautiful heart that cares so much about the world around her and the things that live in it. And even though people can be ignorant and mean and spiteful and hateful and disrespectful and ugly and cruel, she still finds a place in herself to not only forgive and forget, but to continue doing what she does that makes her feel like she is herself. So with all of that, and then you get to meet your hero. She's idolized the wizard for years, or her entire life pretty much. You get to meet him, and not only do you find out he's a fraud, but he's using you for his own personal gain and to have more power and control and manipulation over the mass public. So now you have to sit with yourself, and you're with your new best friend. You made a new best friend who couldn't be more polar opposite than you, right? And as much as you love your best friend, as much as you care about your best friend, as much as your best friend cares about you, you understand and realize that the two of you are just so different that you can't make those two things work out. Regardless of how much you try, how much you want to, you just can't. So keep all of that in mind. Again, my lyrics are powered by genius.com. This is not a promotion. I'm just using them as a resource because I like their resource material. So if I don't get the lyrics right, you can blame them and not me. So the little beginning part of Defying Gravity is Glenda speaking to Elphaba. She says, Elphaba, why couldn't you have stayed calm for once instead of flying off the handle? Funny. And then she proceeds, I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy now. I hope you're happy how you hurt your cause forever. I hope you think you're clever. So at this point, she's turned down the offer that the wizard and Madame Morble have made, realizing that that means giving up and sacrificing everything that she ever wanted. Elphaba comes in. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy too. I hope you're proud how you would grovel in submission to feed your own ambition. So Elphaba's like, I hope that you're satisfied with the fact that you sold your soul, basically, just to get the approval of these awful, evil, sinister people. You're okay with that. You're proud with that. So sit with that. I hope you're happy with it. So they're definitely calling each other out for their flaws and misfortunes at this point. Combined, they say, so though I can't imagine how, I hope you're happy right now. And then it kind of goes through more scenes of the movie where they're still trying to escape and things like that, blah, blah, blah. And then we go back into the song lyrics, technically the song lyrics. Glenda says, Elfie, listen to me. Just say you're sorry. You can still be with the wizard, what you've worked and waited for. You can have all you ever wanted. This is the final plea that Glenda, because at this point they don't heard the sirens go off. Madame Morble done made the announcement. The monkeys is out. Everybody's coming to get them. And she's like, look, it's not too late to apologize and just say that you'll do it. You can still get everything that you've ever wanted and be happy. And Elphaba says, I know, but I don't want it. No, I can't want it anymore. And then it gets into the beautiful, beautiful poetry of lyricism that is the song. And I just can't. I really can't. It gets me emotional because I haven't felt this moved by a song since Wait For It from Hamilton. And ironically, they're both musicals, but it's like a mantra. It's like something you tell yourself to get you ready to face the day, right? So she says, something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes, and leap. So at this point, I have reached a new level of woke, right? I want to use that terminology very loosely. I understand now that the world is not what I thought it was. The world isn't what you think it is. And I knew that before you did, but it's not even what I think it is anymore. Everything that I knew, or everything that I thought I knew, was not what it really was. And I can't just, knowing what I know now, go back to living that delusion that everything's going to be okay. I can't make myself go back to being normal, in my case, which was barely normal, knowing what I know now. I have to keep moving forward. She goes on. It's time to try defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity and you can't pull me down. I am going to not only move forward, but propel, leap, climb, soar, fly. I have to, because there's something in here, there's something within me that has awoken that, how do I even put it into words? There's something in me that has awakened that is not going back down without a fight. You cannot make me go down without a fight moving forward from this point on. Glenda, who is still trying to be the voice of reason, is just not getting through to her. She says, can't I make you understand you're having delusions of grandeur? At this point, I don't even think Glenda is even aware of just how powerful Elphaba is. I don't think she was there when she turned the monkeys into birds. She was there when she tapped the book and it opened up. She witnessed all of that. And she's still like, dude, you are delusional. Like, what are you talking about? Like, stop. And Elphaba is like, man, fuck that shit. Elphaba goes on to say, I'm through accepting limits because someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love. I guess I've lost. If that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. Now that's beautiful, because my entire life I have been told that I am just barely accepting and worthy of love, appreciation, respect. I didn't get it from my family. I didn't get it from my peers. I barely got it from those who were willing to even cross paths with me. And the one person who I was sold I would receive that love and acceptance from was just using me to his own satisfaction. And then when I said no, they painted me literally as a villain. Fuck that shit. Like, you're not about to tell me that I can't do whatever I want when you just offered me a deal saying that I can do whatever I want. Who is going to stop me? At this point, who is going to tell me that I can't? Who is going to tell me that I can't do this shit? And she goes on, she goes on to say, she's speaking to Glenda again. She says, come with me. Think of what we could do together. Unlimited. Together, we're unlimited. Together, we'll be the greatest team there's ever been. Glenda. Dreams the way we've planned them. And then Glenda says, if we work in tandem. And then the both of them together say, there's no fight. We cannot win. Just you and I defying gravity. Now, this is the beautiful, beautiful, like, icing on the cake of their friendship, where Glenda, for the first time, has this moment of realization that she does not need the entire world's approval to be great. She doesn't need, I have the book. I can make you great. We can make each other great. We can do this together and we will be unstoppable. And I can guarantee that, I can promise you that. But what the fuck does Glenda do? She says no. Glenda tells her that she just can't do it. Whether it's her own personal philosophy, her own morals, something is preventing Glenda from taking that leap of faith that Elphaba is already ready to do. And in this scene in the movie, she goes over to like this coat rack and she finds a cloak, and it's a pitch black cloak. It's a beautiful, thick, big pitch black cloak. And she wraps it around Elphaba's shoulder, she ties it up, and they're both crying because they realize that they have to say goodbye to each other. And, you know, Elphaba doesn't put up a fight. She doesn't try to persuade Glenda to come with her because she understands that they are just from two very, very different worlds, and they just can't, as much as they would love to, as much as they probably both would want to, it just can't happen. And she's safer without her is the real reason. So Glenda goes, I hope you're happy now that you're choosing this. Elphaba says, you too. I hope it brings you bliss. And then both of them say, I really hope you get it and you don't live to regret it. I hope you're happy in the end. I hope you're happy, my friend. So this is the moment where they both accept their fates. Regardless of what happens to Elphaba, Glenda will continue on her path. And regardless of what happens to Glenda, Elphaba will continue on her path. They have to go their separate ways. This is the very heartbreaking moment when you make that realization. So at this point, Elphaba had used the book to try to make some stuff move around, to levitate. She tries to cast the bird spell on herself, but it doesn't work. She ends up accidentally casting it on a broomstick that is now levitating, is bopping around. So Glenda hands Elphaba the broomstick, and she's about to go out the window when the guards storm that part of the castle. So they storm in, they see Glenda, and they grab her. Elphaba's like, no. Actually, she said, no, leave her alone. She hasn't done anything wrong. I'm the one you want. I'm the one you want. It's me. So she does that, and she's trying to get them away from her. She's running around. Now, I'm doing scene for scene from the movie as well as the song lyrics because they tie into each other so well. So they're in this huge tower. The guards got Glenda. Elphaba lures them away from her, and she jumps out the window. As she jumps out the window, she loses the broom. Her cloak is going all over the place. She's free falling. She's freaking out. And this is a tall ass. She's got a minute before she hits the ground, right? So as she's free falling, she looks in her reflection on the building, and she sees itty bitty baby Elphaba. And this is like a healing your inner child moment where you see the small, innocent version of yourself who is hurting and is in pain and is struggling, and you're scared and they're scared, but y'all got each other's back. You got you and she's got her, and everybody got everybody. You're talking to your inner child saying it's going to be okay. You're tapping in to that power that's always existed within you, that everybody tried to shield, to shadow, to smother in some form or fashion. And you tell yourself that everything's just going to be okay. And once she gets that confidence, that regains control, the broomstick comes like Thor's hammer out of the fucking sky. She grabs it right before she hits the ground. She turns and she pole vaults into the sky. This is a beautiful moment right here. She pole vault. Keep in mind, she was falling for like 2 minutes straight. So this is a big ass building. She pole vaults into the sky, right back up in like a millisecond, where the glass broke. You got Madame Marble and Glinda and the guards and the wizard and everybody else just standing around watching. And here's the climax of the song. I'm gonna read the lyrics to you. And I love this. This breaks my heart whenever I hear it. It's so powerful and it moves me. She says, "So if you care to find me, look to the western sky." Because she's a witch of the west. "As someone told me lately, the wizard, everyone deserves a chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. For those who ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them how I'm defying gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity. And soon I'll match them in renown." And she has the words from Madame Marble not telegraphing, but just like everybody is like, she's wicked, she's the evil witch, she's trying to kill us all. All of those words are flooding back into her head over and over again. And she's singing to herself, unlimited, unlimited, unlimited. And I feel like the use of the word unlimited in this case is referring to herself. And in the beginning, when she was saying unlimited, she was talking about the possibilities, the options, an unlimited amount of potential that you could have in your life that could fulfill your needs and make you feel happy and make you feel satisfied. But in this case, I think she's talking about herself. I am unlimited. I have unlimited power. I have unlimited resources. I am unlimited. And then she's chasing the monkeys is chasing her around the city. They fine. She's fine. She gets them to back inside. And she pulls even higher in the sky. And she falls back down and she gets right back in front of that window. Oh, this makes me so emotional. She gets right back in front of that window. And she says, "Nobody in all of Oz, no wizard that there is or was, is ever going to bring me down." And then Glinda pops up. "I hope you're happy." Like, not with the situation, but I hope what you're doing makes you feel happy. Literally, I hope that you are happy. I want you to be happy. And then the citizens of Oz, the people who are there, this is fucked up. What they say, "Look at her, she's wicked, kill her. No one warns the wicked, so we've got to bring her down." And she's saying, nobody is ever going to bring me down. Nobody. Can you imagine? And I understand, and here's the thing, I had heard the song, because I had seen, again, the movie came out, and I wanted to go see the movie, but I wanted to avoid the theater crowd, which they came afterwards. So when it came to like the streaming from your house thing, I did that, of course. But I'd already heard Defying Gravity. I didn't listen to any of the other songs, so I wanted to enjoy the movie for the first time, experience it. But this song is so fucking powerful, and it does a great job with boosting her and vilifying her at the same time. She really is this all-powerful witch that no one could control No one had any kind of influence or manipulation or anything like that to where they could take her and use her as a pawn or a toy or whatever. She was incapable of being manipulated. She was incapable of following any other law, rule, or procedure that didn't coexist with her own personal logic or philosophy. And that is what scared them. Is not only is she powerful, but she can't be manipulated. You tried that and it didn't work. You gave her access to this all-powerful thing to use in your favor. And when she peeped what you were doing, she took that power away from you. So once you realize you didn't have that power anymore, you have to make the whole world hate her by turning her into a villain. And it was easy to do because people already didn't like her. People already were afraid of how weird and different she was. You mix that with this great and glorious power, and then you vilify her. And now not only is the rest of the world afraid of her, but everybody hates her. And the only person who really knows that Elphaba is this sweet, smart, weird, whimsical, kind of dorky, kind of awkward individual is Glinda. So really, she can't be fooled by the bullshit either. But she's also willing to sell out. Because Madame Morble offered her a spot right there while she was falling out of that building. She said, Glinda, you come with me. I'm going to make sure that you get everything that you want. You just got to keep this whole thing between us and I can get you anything that you want. First of all, that's a lie. But Glinda, being the brainwashed people pleaser that she is, she took that deal. Because why wouldn't she? It's in her character. It's in her nature to take that offer. And man, that is some powerful shit. So it goes to ask the question, is a person born wicked or are they made to be wicked? I don't believe, call it what you want. Call it my own personal bias, because I just adore that whole concept. Elphaba was never the Wicked Witch. She was branded with that title to incite fear and panic into a mass population of people. They gave these people a common enemy and said, this is who we hate. We hate this person. And everybody can agree on that. So no matter where you stand in the argument, if you're on her side, we hate you too. Glinda, who just wants to be accepted by people, had to go against that grain. So when she's in Munchkinland in the beginning of the movie and she's looking up at this statue made of wood and straw of the person who she considered to be her best friend at one point, and she sets it on fire, that broke her heart on the inside. And when she's singing No One Mourns the Wicked, she's singing it as a lie. I seen somewhere that was like the higher in pitch Glinda sings, the more untrue what she's singing actually is. And she's singing that song in 100% falsetto. She didn't mean a single word of it. But on the surface, she's more appealing to the people of Munchkinland than Elphaba would have been. And I gotta tell you, man, this is a really good movie. This is a great concept. Like, because you watch The Wizard of Oz and you're just like, man, what the fuck is her problem? You know, she just hates everybody. No, she was never, and I think that's the irony of it all, right? Like, it's to tell the story of, like, who is really the Wicked Witch. It's kind of like when you watch The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and in the beginning, he's telling the tale of the bell ringer of the Notre Dame church and chapel, and he says, who is the monster and who is the man? And he introduces you to two characters, Frollo and Quasimodo. And you assume Quasimodo is the monster because of how he looks. And Frollo is the more respected. He's the deacon or the bishop or whatever the hell his job was. He was a judge somehow. And you expect him to be the man. He's respectable. He's appreciated. He's noble. He's honest. He's All of these things. Turns out he's the monster and Quasimodo was the real man in the scenario. So when you think about this story, not to say that Glinda is wicked, she's not. She's just manipulated and easily, bamboozled. But when you talk about who's wicked and who's not, it's not Elphaba. It's not the green-skinned, scratchy voice, evil, laughing, sinister witch that lives off of the Red Brick Road in the Land of Oz, but she's just truly, honestly misunderstood. And I can understand after seeing this movie why people were so goo gaga crazy about it. And I don't think there's too many musicals that really do a great job with, one, originality, and two, capturing an audience in a way that is emotional and compelling. So I feel like, and this is, again, I've never seen the Broadway. I would like to. I've never seen the Broadway play, but watching this movie and experiencing it, even with all of the things that were going on, it was definitely one for the books. Like it was absolutely worth the watch. The second part of this film, the posters are already out. I'm seeing the pictures online of the posters for Wicked Part 2, and it's supposed to come out, I don't know if it's coming out this year or next year or what, I don't know, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I might want to go see it in theaters just to see, experience it that way for the first time, or I might just wait for it to come out like I did the first one and just watch it at home, because I could avoid any other. And then I got the story already. I know what happens in the story, but I want to see how it happens. And again, a lot of that stuff I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like my jaw was on the floor when I came to that realization that they was trying to use her. And I said, that's fucked up. But it also doesn't surprise me because, again, the wizard is a con artist. He always has been and always will be. That's part of his character. He's not who he appears to be. The man behind the curtain is just a man. The illusion of the Wizard of Oz is just that, an illusion. He's not even a real wizard. So it shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. But yeah, that was, in a nutshell, Wicked, my interpretation of it, and discussing the entire thing as a whole. And I'm definitely looking forward to when Part 2 comes out. But that was a little bit of a tangent, so I appreciate those who stopped by and checked out. It's been an absolute pleasure. And until next time, I will speak to you all later.